What is going on, everyone? It is Will Mitchell here, and today we have a VIP guest. You guys are going to recognize him, especially our Japanese audience who knows that Cooter Ramsey is famous in Japan. Of course, we have the world famous Cooter Ramsey from Allison Ramsey Architects, has designed hundreds of homes in Belize around the world. Cooter, thank you for jumping on with me, brother.
Oh, my pleasure, always, man.
So
Thanks for having me back again.
We need you
again.
here, Cooter. You save, every day you save people from mistakes that could cost them upwards of $100,000. And that's what I want to talk to you.
Or more.
Or more. Like, we're talking about major mistakes in their lives with their planning, whether they're developing in the United States or abroad, like could be here in Belize. So I want to talk about that today, Cooter. But first of all, let's just start off with, you know, buying a plan online. That's something that people might do, or they might go on ChatGPT or maybe Pinterest and find something. What are the major pitfalls that people can get into when they're taking those steps without consulting an expert?
I mean, there's a lot, and there's so many ways you can go wrong trying to get a house built. And you know, most houses are not done by architects, right? Like,
really,
it's not a requirement.
They're just making these things up.
I mean, a lot of times folks will work directly with their builder.
Yeah.
The builder will have a draftsman. He might have an in-house service. There's a lot of competition in that world for who actually crafts that house. I wish every house was designed by an architect. Our world would be a lot better if that were the case, but it's not the case. So the reality is probably 1% of the housing actually designed by a licensed architect.
Okay, so let's talk about that a bit. Like, what are the biggest pitfalls you've seen in your decades of experience when planning a home site or planning a house that people need to avoid?
You know, I think the very first one is there are so many options online.
Yep.
Jump online, I want a 2-bedroom craftsman house. And there are thousands and thousands, you know, hundreds of thousands of house plan sources out there. You find the house plan that you think you might like, and there it is available. It's for sale. It's $1,200, it's $1,500, $2,000, it's $5,000, it's $500. There's no, who knows how much.
All over the place.
It is all over the place, and that's really not that bad. But the bigger issue is you buy that house plan and you really don't know what you're doing at that stage. Like, you don't have the right amount of information typically, right? Like, people aren't building houses 5 a year, right? They might build 2 in their lifetime. They might build 3 in their lifetime. So it's not like they're doing this every day. We've actually kind of refined that, and we do have a way. First step is finding the right house plan, right?
Okay.
So you get online, you know, on our website, you use a tool called House Match. It starts to narrow you in. It asks you some questions about how big of a house you're looking, room arrangements, do you have views, some basic questions that actually start to deliver the right results, right? Because there's a lot of filters, there's a lot of options. Once you start to know what's important in that house plan, you can start to get it narrowed down. Maybe you have 100 you need to sort through instead of 5,000, right?
100?
Well, maybe, it might be 100. I mean, there's
got a lot of house plans.
There's a lot of options out there. But as you start to filter it and narrow it down, you'll eventually get to the right one.
Yep.
Once you find that right one, most people just jump out there and buy it. I actually don't like that way, right?
Yeah.
Like, why spend, on our site is $1,750, on another site it might be $500, on another site it might be $2,500, but why spend that money before you know what you're doing? We actually sell a $50 study set.
Okay.
We recommend you take that study set, you go talk to builders, right?
Yep.
Like, if it's no good to buy a $1,700 house plan to find out that the house is $200,000 more than you can afford, and you wasted the money. Because once I've given you the house plan, I can't take it back, right? I sent you a PDF, like, you're not getting your money back. Yeah. It's done. And that's, you know, on every website it's the same, right? You buy the house plan,
It's it.
that's it.
And you might be under budget to build that house.
Correct.
And like,
And you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what's called out. You don't know if it's got 9-foot ceilings in it, 10-foot ceilings. Are they calling out hardwood floors? Are they calling out your fixtures? Are they drawing interior elevations? You have no idea really what you're getting.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not a fan of doing that. I'd much rather put a sample set in your hands and let you go meet with builders, interview builders, and get to know them. And it's such a valuable process, right?
Yeah.
You sit down with 3 builders, not together, individually, and you talk big picture budget, right? You know, hey, based on the quality I'm expecting, what do you think I'm gonna spend? So you get a general idea of what that house is gonna cost, and then you start to have the other options. Is it, hey, buy the set of plans, I'm ready to build? Hopefully, right? You get back online, you buy a set of plans, you get out there and you start building. Typically, the builder recommends something, right?
I want to shift gears a little bit here and talk about bigger lots, because right now we're sitting in a project. You're down here consulting on the project.
Yeah.
Obviously, these are bigger lots here, and we're gonna have more info on this. I can do a quick plug right now, guys. If you do want to get more information ahead of this opening up, scan the QR code. Anyone who scans it and gets on the list is gonna get all the details ahead of schedule. You could get access to a major opportunity in Belize before it opens up, but we're dealing with bigger lots here, Cooter. And I don't know if I'm the best example of this. I think over my 10 years or so, decade plus of developing out here, I've made a lot of mistakes. You've seen almost all of them. And I have planned things with you. I planned our Remax office with Cooter. We didn't make mistakes on that one.
Well, we've made a few, but...
It was very minor, but I mean, overall planning has become a huge thing. But for some reason out here, I reverted back to my old ways, my bad habits. And on my project in this property here, because the lots are so big, I feel like something that people might struggle with is planning the backyard space, the front yard space, really laying things out. Like, you know me, I'm a nut. I put a basketball court on everything I do.
Everything you do.
I got the court, the pool, and then my gazebo there. But what would you say to people when they're planning larger acreage sites? What's the advice there?
I do think that, you know, first of all, we're going to have so much fun here, right? Like the opportunities here are just absolutely amazing. So, but with those bigger sites, you really do have to start thinking things a little differently, right? Like, how do you define that outdoor space? You know, is it just a small little house and then you've got, you know, a half acre of land behind you that you got to maintain and mow and deal with? Or more, right? It's definitely going to be important to kind of, you know, no one has endless budgets.
Yeah.
You can use the form of the house to help shape some of that space to really take advantage and make that budget stretch and get the spaces you need.
Yeah, and it really changes the whole dynamic of the plan too, because you can really integrate those outdoor spaces. And I think from a rental perspective too, if you do it right, it's going to be a bit of a silver bullet here, because it's not Ambergris Key where you've got the super high rental numbers. Typically on an acreage project, you're going to want to really build, I mean, almost a whole resort vibe within your property, so you can really drive the rental income.
Why wouldn't you?
What are some of the biggest pitfalls people make building, not only in Belize, but internationally, that you've seen?
I think pausing, taking your time, developing that budget properly, right? So many people skip that. They go straight from, I want to do a house, to I bought a set of plans and I'm building the house, and they forget to design it in between. They really do forget to think through how they're going to live in that space, how they're going to use that space on a daily basis. Is it going to work? What about resale? Am I ever going to sell it? There's, you know, just take a couple of months in that middle part and actually make it work. Is it 4 weeks? Is it 6 weeks? Who cares? But spend the time developing the budget. Pick the things that are really important to you. Stay focused on those elements, and the end result, it pays off. It really does. And a lot of people, you know, and I get this a lot, obviously, but a lot of people don't want to spend money in modifying plans, right? Like, they just want to buy a plan and get going. I appreciate that, but if it's wrong, who cares if you spend a couple of $1,000s, right? Like a couple of grand in getting the plans right might save you 200 grand in mistakes that you've made, or value that you've lost because you didn't plan it properly. Oh, if I would have done this outdoor space would have been 10 times better, would have been so much more beautiful. Whether it's me, whether it's another architect, that's really a minor investment in that end result.
Sure.
You're going to drop a lot of money. Spend a little money, get it right, it pays off.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Totally agree. What about from a building material standpoint? I mean, we've had a lot of houses that we've seen over the years built out of certain materials. When you're looking at Belize and you're saying, okay, we're close to the Caribbean Sea, we're close to the elements, you've got jungle aspects here. What are the building materials that you would advise people to use when they're building?
Listen, I have a pet peeve here, and I might catch some flack on this, but
Get the flack.
I'm a big believer in using materials that are local to the place you're building, right? The materials that belong here, the materials that are accessible here, and you need to use them. What's wrong with palapa? Palapa's great. Hardwood's amazing. I'm okay with, you know, treated pine and some of those elements. I'm okay with stone in.
But if you were going to build, would you go with a hardwood home over a concrete home when the delta's pretty close right now?
Not if the delta's close.
It's close.
Concrete's amazing. It does.
For me, I would say, like, if you're in San Pedro, I would go concrete for sure. Yes. Just because you're close to the sea. Like you're there, I mean, which is the biggest benefit of being there.
Well, you've mentioned before, there's insurance issues. There's a lot of different issues you got to factor in, right? I'm a giant wood man, and you know that. I love wood structures. I love wood structures. Yeah. So I think you can build wood structures on the mainland. I think you can build wood structures on the island. I don't have any.
What about roofing, flooring, that kind of stuff?
You know, I do feel like it gets carried away more than it should. You know, I think less is more when it comes to exterior materials. Yeah. I don't want to see more than 3 different types of materials going on outside, to be honest. I don't want a little piece of stone here and a little bit of stucco here and a little bit of siding here, and I did some corrugated metal here, and there's
this Frankenstein all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, it is okay to kind of limit yourself, keep the palette clean, keep it native, keep it local. It will produce a better end result.
Yeah, and what about like when you guys are doing, I guess, when you guys are planning a home, what are some of the aesthetic things you guys are looking for? Like, I know that one we talk about all the time is windows, and before I met you, I had no idea. I just looked at a house and I said, hey, there's a window there, and there's a window there, and you get sunlight, and then Cooter explained this to me. The windows, they have to be balanced, and I'm gonna ruin this, but what are the things that you're looking for?
No, you're right. That's one of the big ones. You know, we're big believers in vertical proportions, right? You know, for our type of architecture, for any type of architecture that really relates to a person, like we're vertical people, we're not horizontal. When we see things that are vertically proportioned, they feel better to us.
For sure.
You know, you see a long horizontal window. I'm not saying you can't use them in certain aspects, but it does change the language of the architecture, right? Yeah. All of a sudden you start thinking prairie style. You start you know, like things start changing when you change that proportion. So I think for most of the residential work that we do, we like to do vertical proportions. I like to see it in the windows. I like to see it in the doors. I like to see it in the porch spacings. I like to see it everywhere. Yep. Proportions are important, and being vertical is a really big deal. So that's a big one for us.
Okay.
And get the details right. Yeah. Right? Like you do everything right on the house and you got bad windows, so what, right? Yeah. But if you've got bad windows and bad roof and bad foundation, you know, there is kind of that gestalt. Like there's a certain mix of you can't cheapen out on everything. Like you got to have enough of the just right. Affordability.
It doesn't impact the decisions. You can still do it right.
That's not an excuse for doing an ugly house.
I like that. Okay, guys, even if you're doing an affordable house, do it right. Other than that, of course, if you want to reach out to Cooter, I'm going to have his info in the description below. If you guys want to learn about how to buy a property here, if you want to learn about how to buy a property here or get on the early list or anything in Belize, scan the QR code, guys. The Remax team and I will be more than happy to help you get all the answers, all your questions. Other than that, Cooter and I got to go sip a mojito and film the next video. We'll see you in the next one, and hopefully down here at this beach club soon.